rabbit head, Chengdu specialty. Look at that. That's the tongue. You see the jaw.
As the Chinese poem goes, 清明时节雨纷纷, which roughly means rain comes down in spray around Tomb Sweeping Day. This famous line from Dumu has been proven over centuries. Tomb Sweeping Day, also known as Qingming Festival, takes place in early April, and the Chinese have come to expect rainfall not only during Qingming but also spring in general. Here in Suzhou, it began raining quite early this year.
So Spring Festival is about a week away, and the atmosphere is getting festive. But maybe spring rain has arrived a bit early, so the physical atmosphere has been pretty gloomy. So I need something to brighten me up, like red hot Sichuan cuisine, even if it's been localized.
For our mood-brightening Sichuan lunch, we will go to the Dusu Lake Neighborhood Center. The neighborhood center concept sprawls from Singapore. That's the Southeast Asian element I spoke of in the last video. Therefore, these complexes are particularly common in areas with strong Singaporean ties, such as Suzhou, whereas Suzhou Industrial Park is noted as the first landmark collaboration between the governments of China and Singapore, and today it still serves as a benchmark for others that follow. Another Singaporean manifestation is the prevalence of neighborhood centers across Suzhou. These buildings aggregate roadside stores under one roof. As the Singaporean HDB puts it, they give residents easy access to food and dining, healthcare and shopping options, and daily needs. Neighborhood centers cater to basic necessities, so normally nothing fancy. Even in a semi-upscale neighborhood like Dusu Lake, this brings us to the Dusu Lake Neighborhood Center, where we will have lunch. The establishment we are visiting is Diandanmian, a moderately priced franchise founded in Chengdu, which also happens to be a city with strong Singaporean ties. The brand name Diandanmian literally means choose your soldiers, choose your generals. It is a counting out rhyme analogous to eeny, meeny, miny, mo. What kind of soldiers and generals can you choose here? Look at this impressive phalanx of Sichuan foods. These are what we Chinese call 小吃, as in snacks. Thus, typically these are things to snack on between meals, though some are often chosen as appetizers in proper meals, and some could even serve as simple meals on their own. Not to mention when you amass them together, then you have an army that can defeat any hunger. In this video, I'll touch on some of the heavy hitters. Let us begin with this one. The name alone is enough to knock you out.
Fuqi feipian, husband and wife lung slices. No, there are no lungs. There are no longer any lungs. If you want to see lungs, watch my older videos, like the ones in the description section. But there are other offals in this dish, such as ox tripe. Let me get this delicious piece of gut in my gut.
The fuqi feipian is a Chengdu specialty and one of the most legendary Sichuan culinary icons. It has been extensively reported by overseas media and gained the nickname Mr. and Mrs. Smith among foreign fans. There are online articles that detail how the husband and wife components of the dish's name came from a prank, and how the original meaning of fei, or lung, actually denoted waste parts, as in offals including but not limited to the lungs. However, there are some side stories and alternative theories as well. I'll leave those for a different video when I get a chance. But what I shall say is that fuqi feipian is one of my favorite Sichuan dishes. When I lived in Chongqing, it was my go-to snack for weekend football nights. I love the mishmash of contrasting textures: tender beef, chewy tribes, crunchy tenders, and of course, that spiciness as hot as Mrs. Smith. The slices would be washed down with gulps of ice-cold shancheng beer, the old school ones in green bottles. If you've had such football nights, hit that like. But the problem with fuqi feipian is that the slices are so tasty and go down so easily, they wouldn't survive past halftime. So I will often buy something else to work on slowly, like spicy rabbit head, another Chengdu specialty.
Rabbit head, Chengdu specialty. Look at that. That's the tongue. You see the jaw. Head is all about the little nooks and crannies, the little pieces, slivers of meat. Super tender. That's the lower jaw. Yeah. Tongue, that's my favorite part. Oh, and the brain too. That should be the neck and leads to the brain. Here you can see bits of the brain here, this white part. Oh, here we go, look, that's the brain, that's the brain. Right here. Like foie gras. Here, that's the eyeball.
If you really can't stop thinking about biting the heads off of Bugs Bunny or My Melody, here's something that might not bug you as much: Mao Nao Hua, a Yacai version of pork brain. Yacai is basically hot pot, but without the hot pot because someone else does the cooking for you. Say what? Now you can't stop thinking about sucking the brains out of Porky Pig or Peppa Pig? Fine. This next one won't leave you scarred, I promise. A good old bowl of noodles.
Yibin ramen, Yibin burning noodles, or the Yibin flame noodles. No, there are no flames, or there are no longer any flames, but there used to be flames because the noodles would be prepared so dry and doused in so much oil, they could be lit up like candle wicks. Actually, story has it that the noodles were utilized like candle wicks.
Just like many other Chinese foods, the ramen came into existence due to practical needs, similar to how the migratory Hakkas excel at food preservation, as shown in a few recent videos. Yibin is an important port on the Yangtze. Due to the geography, the city is perpetually humid. The humidity seems to cause a high level of body acidity in the locals. This problem is especially pronounced among dock workers in the old days. That's why they needed to alkalize. One solution was to eat alkaline noodles. Authentic Yibin alkaline noodles spoil quickly, so the ones here are likely rough substitutes, but they're alkaline noodles nonetheless. You could tell by the elasticity and yellow hue. Here's a side-by-side comparison. Look at the colors. Shown on the left is Yibin ramen with alkaline noodles, and shown on the right is dandanmian with regular noodles. The restaurant doesn't really distinguish between toppings and seasonings of the two noodles, but the strands of noodles obviously differ. I'll write more about these matters and why Yibin ramen noodles need to be dry and why they were lit up, etc. in the description section. With alkaline noodles, the extra alkali imparts bitterness, which is why Yibin ramen is so heavily seasoned with chili oil the noodles can ignite. However, the generous use of chili oil might be motivated not only by good taste, but also good health. According to traditional Chinese medicine, the chili's heat is conducive to removing the body's internal dampness. It's one chief reason why Yibin folks, and Sichuan folks in general, consume a whole lot of chili. Suda isn't as humid as Yibin, but I could use some of that hotness to dispel the internal dampness built up over recent rainy days. This chili oil isn't that hot, much milder than those in Chongqing and Sichuan. Surely it has been toned down to cater to local preferences. I would have shrugged this off back in the days, but I don't eat much spicy foods nowadays, so I could still sense that spicy burn, which is why I need a sweet snack to balance things out. A sweet snack also from Yibin.
Yibin lianggao, the Yibin cool cake, is so beloved. There is actually an entire street dedicated to this snack in the town where it was invented. So according to the traditional Yibin production method, the method mainly involves pressing and grinding soaked sticky rice into rice milk, and then stirring that rice milk along with some alkaline solution into boiling water, which would then be left to settle into cake. The final product is kind of like jiggly and has a custard or pudding-like texture similar to a panna cotta, but lighter. So it's pretty creamy. Pretty creamy, but not in a dairy sort of way. The lianggao itself has a very subtle rice sweetness, but is pretty much always eaten with a sauce. The classic choice is this, the brown sugar syrup. So in this combination, maybe it's more like creme caramel. But nowadays, there are like kiwi and mango and all sorts of different fruity toppings. I heard that you can even make it numb and spicy mala. Sichuan folks just love the mala flavor, just can't get enough of it, even with dessert. However, Sichuan culinary cultural experts and scholars like to emphasize the phrase 一菜一格，百菜百味, meaning each dish with its own style and 100 dishes, 100 flavors. Trying to convince the world that Sichuan cuisine is not all about mala. But I'm sorry, Sichuan cuisine is mainly distinguished and remembered for the mala. But I don't blame them because Sichuan cuisine is incredibly diverse. Hopefully, I'll get to sample more in the future and make some videos about them. 再见。